Hello and welcome to the Discover History YouTube channel. And as you know, my big interest is military history and of no specific age, to be fair. Now, Discover History, we actually cover any age in the history of Britain from the Stone Age right up to the 1950s. However, we also cover ancient Egypt and ancient Greece. And hopefully, the other day you took part in our little craft of mummifying an orange. That was an activity that we often do in schools when we're talking about the Egyptians. However, today what I've brought in is a number of items of military equipment, armour in particular, that belongs to the ancient Greeks. And as you're probably aware, the ancient Greeks had an absolutely fantastic army. Their army was very well organised, very well trained, and just like the Romans, to be fair, relied on a citizen army. In the Roman army, the citizen soldiers were often referred to as the legionaries. And in Greek terms, there was the hoplite, and the hoplites often wore bronze armour. Just like the Romans, the ancient Greeks often had to provide their own equipment. So obviously, the richer you are, the better the quality of armour. So the best quality armour, so the high-ranking and rich ancient Greek warriors would have worn some of this. And it is extremely heavy. So this here is a bronze cuirass, what we would call a bronze cuirass today, and it consists of a breastplate, and at the very back there is also a backplate. And believe you me, this is extremely heavy. This is not made of tin, it's not made of iron, it's not made of copper, it is bronze. And as we know from when I was talking about bronze weaponry, bronze is a mixture of tin and copper, and it makes some very good armour. Greek breastplates were often decorated to look like the male torso, basically to show off the human figure, to show off the strength of an individual. But like I said, not every Greek warrior wore this. The hoplites often wore linen armour, which was often called linothorax, which was made up of layers and layers of linen glued together and painted. But if you were rich enough, the bronze cuirass here is the ultimate armour to wear. Interestingly, the Romans wore this after. If you think back right up to the Roman invasions of Britain, especially the last one in 43 AD, you could very easily get some of the high-ranking Romans wearing bronze cuirass like this one, but it's extremely heavy. To go along with the backing breastplate for obviously main body protection, they would have also worn a pair of greaves, and we have the greaves just of here. These two are also made out of bronze, and these are designed to basically protect the lower legs. It protects anything from the ankle up to the knee, and as you can see, they are also decorated. They put a lot of effort into decorating them. Very expensive pieces of armour, just like the bronze back and breastplate. You will notice there's little smiley faces on the knee, just of there. Now, as well as wearing that, the Greek warriors, these hoplite soldiers, these heavy infantry as such really, also wore an iconic helmet, and these are often referred to as a Corinthian helmet, and we have one just of here. A fine quality helmet worn by the richest of the Greeks. Some Greeks couldn't afford the full armour, some Greeks actually just wore a helmet. And if we talk about the slingers, for example, slingers in the Greek army often dressed with no armour whatsoever, and often didn't even have a helmet on. Now, these helmets have changed throughout the ancient times as such really. The original ones were much more enclosed than this really, very much like wearing a bucket on the head. And then as time went by, these evolve, shall we say, they start changing. This is one that we use when we go into schools. This is one that I often wear when I'm portraying a Greek warrior. And what you will notice is it gives good protection for the whole of the head. Now, the ear openings do actually get larger eventually, and then eventually these cheek pieces start to get smaller and smaller, and then eventually these become nothing more than open helmets. Now, many of these Greek helmets, these Corinthian helmets, often had, not all of them, but often had a huge mane on the top made out of horsehair. So you'd have a block of wood fixed on here in a horsehair mane. But once again, because these soldiers were providing their own equipment, they were very different. Each individual warrior looked pretty different. They all wore bits of different armour. Some had the linen armour, some had the Corinthian helmet, some didn't even have that. And then the poorer types of soldiers had pretty much nothing to wear, really. But like I said, they are a citizen army. That's what these hoplites are. The only thing I haven't brought in is actually the shield, the aspis, or often referred to as the hoplon, which is a huge round shield, often painted with some form of decoration on the front. So when we look at the defensive wear of Greek warriors, they were very well protected. Bronze armour is pretty tough stuff. I find armour very fascinating on how it develops. In Britain, for example, it's the ancient Celts, the Britons, that wore armour consisted of mail, what we often refer to incorrectly as chainmail, and then that developed eventually into the medieval period of wearing plate armour. Well, when you look at the ancient Greek armour, and even the ancient Roman armour, they were already using plate armour. But I find it fascinating, like I do with the bronze weaponry, that because we're talking so long ago, even the armour was bronze. And even though they attempted to polish this at all times, they couldn't have polished it that well when they were on campaign. So I like to think mine is more of a campaign set of armour, not as shiny. However, if there is anyone listening and watching this and wants to volunteer after lockdown, if anyone wants to polish this for me, just like the rest of the armour, please do. It saves me a major job. Anyway, this has been a little introduction to what a Greek or ancient Greek warrior wore in battle. If you want any more interesting videos like this, if you want to look at what the Roman soldier wore or anything like that, or even the Roman weaponry, please let us know. But remember, just like Helen, we don't specialise in just one area. So if you want me to talk about something from domestic life in the Tudor era, if you want me to talk about something about the history of Worcester, do. Also, with Helen, she doesn't have to always do cookery. If you want her, she can also talk about, for example, nursing or midwifery in the Roman era or something like that. The choice is yours. As we always say, this is as much our channel as it is your channel. Anyway, stay safe, stay in, and see you soon. Bye bye.